we're about to embark on a journey that will have you questioning my sanity. This is officially the beginning of my turbo 4-rotor build. Should have been about 7 months or so ago, but for unforeseen circumstances, it begins now. Any rational person will begin to ask, why, Rob? Why are you building a 4-rotor and then turbocharging it on top of that? Exhibit A. Go ahead and take a listen to this. This is the pinnacle of Mazda's rotary engineering. Those are 4 rotors, but naturally aspirated. So go ahead and listen to this one. The sweet, sweet sound of turbocharging. Take a moment and imagine the combination of those two sounds. Even at idle, I suspect my nephews would grow full facial hair, and they're newborns. Let's talk about power. This monstrosity will have excessively more than 1,000 horsepower to the wheels. Comparing that to the Hellcat, for example, she has 707 at the crank, which when you end up dynoing a Hellcat, you get about 620, a respectable number. But this is more than double that. So all of that horsepower is great, but let's talk about horsepower to weight ratio. This vehicle will guarantee to weigh less than 3,000 pounds, whereas the Hellcat, for example, is 4,400. So the Hellcat is 50% heavier than this car. Comparing this to a modern vehicle, you're getting into the range in the realm of the Koenigsegg 1.1. Let's get acquainted with what I have so far. What you're looking at is all of the pieces that are unique, that are custom to a 4-rotor build. Yes, it's modular. Yes, you can use parts from a 2-rotor and technically 3-rotor motor, but there are certain parts that just don't exist and have to be machined. Let's start with the beauty, the center of it all, the eccentric shaft. As you can see, there are 4 lobes, one for each rotor. Those lobes, if you're not familiar with rotary engines, are what fit inside of each of the rotors. That's technically where the power is transferred from the rotor to rotational sort of usable power. Because this has to snake through each of these during installation, the 2 outer lobes are removable. The center of this is very similar to a 2-rotor engine, so you're really adding a rotor on each ends of the eccentric shaft. Now these are 12mm bolts. They go straight through the motor and they pin it all together. So they start in the back of here where the clutch is, and then they go all the way to the front iron. The problem is that these are 12mm and the holes are 10mm. So I have to get these irons modified to fit a bigger bolt. Now 2 of these are actually the stock thickness at 10mm. The reason that I have 2 thinner bolts is because not every single spot on the iron is capable of being drilled out. Now these are the front and rear counterweights, which these are the reasons that I was able to find my motor to begin with, because people normally don't order the front counterweight. This is something that was custom machined and not very popular, not very common. The next video in this series is going to be a little biography about the car that this engine is going into, my 2-rotor. I've had that car since I was 19, the same engine the whole time. It's been nothing but loyal and faithful to me, and I've neglected it. So it's time for her to shine and to show you the difference between a 2-rotor to what's coming up next.